Hey. Okay, so this isn't easy for me to talk about, but I've been feeling like maybe it's time to open up. You know how sometimes we all go through stuff, but we don't talk about it because we don't want to seem weak or like we're struggling? Yeah, that was me. But I figured if even one person hears this and feels a little less alone, or maybe just decides not to quit, then it's worth it. So here goes. So, rewind a few years. Picture this. I'm 24, I've just moved back home after college, and I feel stuck. Like, seriously stuck. The kind of stuck where you wake up in the morning and for a second you forget where you are, and then it all just crashes down on you. Like, oh yeah, I'm here. Again. Everyone around me seemed like they had it together. Friends were getting jobs, traveling, moving into apartments with exposed brick and succulents on the windowsill. And I was in my childhood bedroom, staring at glow-in-the-dark stars I forgot to take down. I had dreams, man. Big ones. I wanted to write, maybe start something of my own, build a business, do something that mattered. But you know what dreams feel like when you're broke and overwhelmed? Heavy. They feel heavy. Like too big to even look at without getting tired. So I started applying to jobs. All kinds. Stuff I didn't want to do, stuff I wasn't even qualified for. I just needed a win. Anything. I needed to feel like I was making progress. And then came the rejection emails. One after another. Some companies didn't even email back. It was like throwing my resume into a black hole. Weeks turned into months. I started avoiding my friends because I was embarrassed. I didn't want to answer the "so what are you up to these days?" questions. I wasn't up to anything. I was sleeping till noon, doom scrolling social media and wondering if I'd peaked in high school. Spoiler, I hadn't. And then, the big low point. It was a random Wednesday. I remember because Wednesday are nothing days, you know. Not the beginning of the week, not the weekend. Just blah. I had woken up feeling like I was underwater. Like I couldn't breathe, like the weight of everything. My own expectations, my parents' unspoken worry, my friends' progress, my lack of it, was all just sitting on me. And I just snapped. I got up, grabbed my car keys, and just drove. No idea where I was going. No music, no podcast. Just silence. I drove until I ended up at this park I used to go to when I was younger. There's this one bench by a little lake. It's quiet, hidden under a huge oak tree. I sat there and man, I just cried. Like, ugly cried. Snot, tears, the whole package. And I remember thinking, what's the point? What's the point of trying if nothing ever works? That was the moment, the lowest one. The kind of moment you don't take pictures of. The kind you don't tell people about. Until now, I guess. But here's the weird part, and maybe the most important part, I didn't stay there. I don't know what shifted exactly. Maybe I was just too tired to be that sad anymore. Maybe I got bored of my own self-pity. Maybe I just looked at the lake and thought, I'm still here. I haven't given up yet. I went home that day and I did something small. Stupid small. I cleaned my room. That was it. Nothing life-changing. But something about it, making my bed, folding clothes, seeing my floor again, it gave me this tiny hit of control. It was like, okay, I can't fix everything, but I can do this. And then the next day, I went for a walk. Just a walk. No destination, just air in my lungs and a hoodie on. And then the day after that, I opened my laptop and started writing again. It wasn't good. I'm not gonna lie and say it was some brilliant world-changing piece. But it was mine. And I finished it. For the first time in months, I finished something. Little by little, things changed. I started freelancing. Super small stuff at first. $20 blog posts, product descriptions, anything. But it felt good. It felt like progress. Not flashy, not Instagram worthy, but real. I started waking up earlier. Not 5 a.m. or anything crazy, but like 8:30, then 8, then 7:30. I was building something, even if I didn't know what it would become. My confidence came back slowly, like it was testing the waters, and every little win, even a nice email from a client or a blog post that got shared, it added up. It reminded me, You're not done. You're just getting started. And here's the thing, no one tells you about rock bottom. It sucks, yeah. But it also gives you something powerful. Clarity. When you've got nothing, you get real honest with yourself. About what matters. About what you actually want. About who you are when no one's watching. That season of my life taught me something I carry with me every day now. You don't have to do everything today. You just have to do the next right thing. That's it. Maybe it's getting out of bed. Maybe it's sending that one email. Maybe it's just drinking some water and opening the window. One thing leads to another. Now, things aren't perfect. I'm still figuring it out. But I've built something for myself. I've got clients. I've got a small business. I help people. I write stories like this one. I'm not stuck in that room with the glow-in-the-dark stars anymore. And I get messages from people sometimes. People who feel like I used to. And they say, "Thanks for being honest. I thought I was the only one." You're not. You're not the only one who feels lost. You're not the only one who's scared. And you're definitely not the only one who's failed and had to start over. So if you're in a dark place right now, like really deep in it, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You're still here. That matters. That means there's still time. Time to try again. Time to heal. Time to build something beautiful from the mess. And you don't have to do it all today. Just the next right thing. That's all. We don't talk about our low points enough. But maybe we should. Because those are the moments that shape us, not the highlight reel stuff. The real stuff. So, here's the part I really want to lean into. One, because looking back, I realized there were a few turning points that weren't huge dramatic moments or anything. They were quiet, almost forgettable, but they changed everything. The first one? Realizing that motivation isn't a lightning bolt, it's a matchstick. I used to think I had to feel ready before I did anything. Like there'd be this epic moment where I'd wake up full of fire and clarity and ambition, and finally just crush it. Spoiler alert, that moment never came. What actually happened was, I got tired of feeling like crap. I got tired of waiting to feel ready. So one day, I lit the tiniest little match, cleaned my room like I said, and that flame was small, but it gave me just enough light to take another step. And then another. And another. Motivation followed action, not the other way around. That was a game changer for me. It's like, have you ever sat down to work out and you're dreading it? Like you're in your sweats, couch is calling your name, snacks are looking real good. But then you start. Just 5 minutes. And suddenly you're like, okay, I could keep going. That's what momentum feels like. But you gotta move first to catch it. The second thing that really hit me, progress is invisible until it's not. Let me explain. When I was freelancing those tiny jobs, it's like writing blurbs for weird product catalogs or editing dry articles no one was ever gonna read, it felt like I wasn't doing anything special. But every gig sharpened my skills. Every annoying edit taught me how to communicate better. Every tiny job made me just a little more confident. And then one day, a bigger opportunity came. A client who actually valued my work. Someone who paid me what I was worth. And I wasn't scrambling to figure out how to deliver, because I'd been building the whole time. Quietly, in the background. It's kind of like planting seeds. You're watering dirt for weeks thinking, am I doing this right? Is this thing even alive? And then one morning, boom, little green sprout. That's what progress feels like. Invisible. Until it's not. Now I get it. It's hard to trust something you can't see. Especially in a world that moves so fast and makes it seem like success should be overnight. Like someone posts a before and after photo and you're just sitting there like, cool, but where's the during part? Let me tell you something. The during is everything. That ugly, messy, insecure, inconsistent middle part, that's where you grow. That's where you earn your voice, your confidence, your peace. I wish more people talked about that. Which brings me to another big realization. No one's coming to save you. But that's not a bad thing. Okay, that one sounds a little harsh, but hang on. Hear me out. When I was at my lowest, part of me was waiting for someone to show up and say, "Hey, I see you're struggling. Here's a job. Here's some purpose. Here's a perfectly laid out plan with bullet points and high-speed Wi-Fi." But no one came. And yeah, for a while that made me feel bitter, like, why is no one noticing how hard this is? But the minute I stopped waiting, everything changed. I started showing up for myself. It wasn't dramatic. It was stuff like eating breakfast instead of skipping it, stretching, actually answering emails, giving myself a bedtime like I was my own mom. It felt lame at first, but over time, I started trusting myself again. And when you trust yourself, oof, that's power. That's like walking into a room and knowing you don't need permission to be there. Let me tell you about this one night, maybe 6 months after I started building my routine. I was working late, editing something, totally in flow. I looked up and realized it was 2 a.m. and I wasn't miserable. I was actually proud. I hadn't felt that in years. That was the first night I really believed. Deep down, I think I'm gonna be okay. And listen, I'm not saying I never doubt myself anymore. Of course I do. That voice in your head doesn't just disappear, but now I've got receipts. Proof that I can come back from a low. That I can build when everything feels broken. And if I can do that, so can you. You don't need a 10-step morning routine or a perfectly color-coded planner. You need to start small and keep showing up even when no one's watching, especially then. Let's talk real-life stuff for a sec. Because I know how it feels to hear all this and still think, yeah, but my situation's different. Maybe you've got bills stacking up, or you're dealing with health stuff, or your mental health's hanging on by a thread. Maybe you're working a job you hate just to survive, and it feels like there's no room for anything else. I get it. Truly. But I also know this. Even in chaos, you can carve out 1 inch of peace. One thing that's yours. For me, it was writing at night, after the noise died down. For you, maybe it's journaling or painting, or walking in silence, or building something nobody knows about yet. That inch, it matters. That's your foundation. That's your proof of life. And if you keep coming back to that 1 inch, it grows. People always ask me now, what's your secret? And I wish I had something fancier to say, but honestly, consistency is louder than talent. I wasn't the most gifted. I wasn't the smartest. I didn't have connections or a perfect resume. I just didn't quit. And I kept trying, even when it was embarrassing. Even when the results were trash. Even when no one clapped. I clapped for myself. And that's what I hope you take from this. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need a big break. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to not give up on yourself. Even when it would be easier to. Especially when it would be easier to. You're gonna have days that knock you down. That's life. But if you can build the habit of getting back up, even slowly, even awkwardly, that becomes your superpower. That's how you win. Not by avoiding failure, but by refusing to stay down when it happens. So yeah, and I'm still figuring it out. Still learning, still growing, still making mistakes. But I'm here. And you're here. And that's something. If you're still watching, I just want to say, thank you. For real, you didn't have to stick around, but you did. That means you're looking for something. Let this be it. Not because I've got all the answers, but because I know how it feels to need one and not find it. So maybe we figure it out together. Keep showing up. Keep trying. Keep going, like even if all you can manage today is one tiny wobbly step. Because one day you'll look back and realize, that step, it saved your life. And hey, before you go, if this video meant something to you, if it made you think or breathe a little deeper, do me a small favor. Hit that like button. Not just because it helps the video, but because it tells me this kind of content matters to you. Share it with someone who might need it. Someone who's stuck, or tired, or quietly fighting a battle you don't even know about. You never know what one video can do for someone. And if you haven't subscribed yet, join the crew. More videos like this are coming. And I'd love to have you here for the ride. All right, now go do that one small thing. You got this. I'll see you soon.